I am now delighted to introduce to you our next speaker, former mayor of Tirana and president of the Democratic Party of Albania. Ladies and gentlemen, Lulzim Basha.
Dear President Dole, honorable members of this Congress, dear hosts, let me start by thanking our hosts, Partita Naționalist, and wishing them victory in their upcoming challenge in the coming elections here in Malta. The European project has come under pressure all over Europe and is under pressure in the Western Balkans and Albania as well. The main factors of pressure in my country are the threats of organized crime and drug trafficking that are threatening the very foundations of democratic coexistence and rule of law. According to Europol and State Department reports of last week, as well as Italian official reports, Albania is today the #1 producer and supplier of marijuana in Europe. Last year, the Italian authorities reported that drug cultivation has increased 5 times compared to 2015. In only 17% of the territory which was monitored from air by Italian authorities in 2016, 2,086 plantations were identified. Thousands of people work in these plantations, guarded by hundreds of armed guards employed by organized crime. It is by now an industry protected and linked directly with the government, which, according to international reports, is producing hundreds of millions of euros. In addition, according to both Europol and State Department reports on narcotics and money laundering, Albania has become the key gateway for heroin distribution all over Europe and the base for operations of organized crime in the region, and in particular money laundering. This dramatic situation is the direct consequence of actions by the current socialist government that has promoted drug lords and people sentenced in Western Europe for grave organized crime offences who have become members of parliament, mayors and high public officials. The law on decriminalization, imposed by the joint will of the Democratic Party and the European People's Party, has not been implemented. This is the political project of the socialist majority to manipulate and steal the next elections. This is why, during the past year, they have refused all our proposals for electoral reform in accordance with the OSCE ODIHR recommendations. The fearful prospect of Albania's democratic backsliding into a crime and drug-run haven is happening at the heart of Europe. This model that aims to appoint a parliament and a government not by the people, but by crime and drug money, can have dire regional consequences. If this battle cannot be fought and won in Albania, in a NATO member country and an EU candidate country and a deeply pro-European society, where else can it be won? We stand before 2 choices: to ignore and cover up this dreadful reality, or to stand up and fight for the core values of democracy and rule of law. We have made our choice. On February 18, Albanians have made their choice and joined the largest protest in post-communist Albania. Today is the 40th day that the protest continues 24 hours a day. Our fight for free and fair elections demands the severing of ties between government and organized crime. That is why only a technical government can fulfill the conditions for free and fair elections by implementing the law on decriminalization and fighting drug cultivation and trafficking. Europe is not simply a continent. It's a project. It's an idea. At the heart of this project is democracy, rule of law and individual dignity. This is why our battle for European Albania is at the same time the battle for the very project of Europe in Albania and in the Balkans. We are fighting for these core values, our common European values. And it is time for us to stand up jointly for these common values. I assure you that with your help and with a strong stance for the common European values that make up the very identity of Europe, we will be able to lead Albania out of this abyss by crushing organized crime and returning once again to the fundamentals of democracy, rule of law, fight against corruption, free market economy, competition that make up the identity of Europe, that make up the identity of future European Albania. Thank you.
Our next speaker is the honorary president of Georgia's opposition party, United National Movement. He has also served for nearly